this will now bring me to the discourse for this month. We as our viewers, as you know, at home, that we run these on a monthly basis, and this has been a very, very fantastic idea by some of you guys online, and we always still want to give you guys thank you for your positive and positive comments at all times. Thank you. And we're going to be considering a very fundamental subject matter today that actually poses unresolved questions and discussion in our country. And, a lot of journals, a lot of paper publications, a lot of articles, and a lot of town hall meetings, and a lot of political, let me just put it in a hall, political discourse has actually, where a lot of people have actually dealt with it. And it has been a topic that quite a lot of us are actually interested, in. And it's what I would just say before I tell us the topic of what we're discussing today is, according to Wale Soyinka, he posed a notion many years ago, and he says, and I will quote, he said, "When is a nation not a nation?" I just trying to give a background understanding of what we're going to discuss. When is a nation not a nation? And at the same time, there's a case study we are all familiar about as history students, and about the Soviet Union. And there's a quote in one of the documents that I read a couple of years ago that says, "A nation that manages their diversity survives." A nation that manages their diversity survive. Why those who fails manage? I'll take that again. A nation that manages their diversity survive. Why those who fails to manage it goes their separate ways? And this is going to come out to, us to understand that diversity is an asset for us as a nation. Our diversity is an asset. So the topic we're going to be considering today is national unity, a catalytic approach to economic growth and sustainable democracy. That's a very rich topic, and a lot of people have written a lot of papers about it, and we actually acknowledge them, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. Thank you, gentlemen. This is going to come back to my first question on this, about this, and my first question is going to go to Mr. Obelao, and the first question is the ethnic problem, because I'm just going to narrow it down a bit, because one of the factors forward achieving sustainable democracy in Nigeria is unity. Unity is very, very, very important. And I feel as an individual that that's a base for so many things. If we are not united as a country, if we cannot actually achieve a lot of things. So, Mr. Obelao, if you're there, sir, the first question I will ask you, sir, is the ethnic problem is indeed a national question, which is a great deal of our national unity. We both understand that. I want to ask us, because those people that are actually impacting negatively in about this discourse we're talking about, are the people at the grassroots level. I'll just streamline it and say our SDG, we can recall our SDG as a country. People at the grassroots level, they are really not, benefiting from, dividends of democracy. Honestly, I just want to tell you, how does this affect the SDG unity?
Thank you so much, Mr. Tosin, for that. You see, the issue of ethnicity is a very, very sensitive one. In the sense that Nigeria is blessed, honestly. Nigeria is so blessed. I'm not even talking in terms of resources now. I'm talking in terms of the people, Nigerians themselves. We have very, very smart, intelligent Nigerians across the world. And we can see what Nigerians, what they do when they are outside Nigeria. Now, back to that particular question,
Sure.
ethnicity is just, I think number one thing that we lack in Nigeria is just that unity. People don't understand, or people don't really know the definition of unity. And I'll try as much as possible to just break it down for us to actually know that, look, unity is a very, very vital, how do I put it, vital factor for the growth of a country. And to when I was little, when I was in primary school, there's what we call there's one of the subjects that we do. It's called the social studies.
Yes.
And so social studies has actually taught me at that young age that how can you unite as a member of a family, as a member of a community, as a member of a state, and as a member of a nation. So let me go back to where I started from. So as a member of the family, you
Sure.
know, for you to know that, to be able to uphold unity, you need to know that your next person, your next member of family, the same family units that you are, is your
Yes, sir.
responsibility. It's even written in the Bible, if you're a Christian, and love your neighbor as yourself. That Bible
Sure.
passage speaks volume about unity. If you are able to consider and know that your next family member, your sibling, it doesn't even need to be your younger family member, even your mom, your dad, everybody, you are responsible in some ways to them, to making sure that they have a better life, or if they live a comfortable life. That's number one. That's how unity grows. Now let's not take it, a further, one step ahead. When you know that your next door neighbor is your responsibility, you have like a sense of responsibility to making sure that you create a conducive environment for them to understand, for them to live comfortably. You're not a nuisance. You don't constitute nuisance. You don't create a very, very dangerous environment for them. That's how
To take
unity
over.
spreads. And then from there, when you now go to like the state level, like, and all these things that I'm saying, it's not particular to a tribe. It's
Yes.
not particular to it's not specific to an ethnic group. It's in general. We live life as humans, not as me being Yoruba, not as Bro Steve being Niger Delta, or this person being. We need to have that sense of belonging to each other, and
Yes,
and
sir.
and, and once we have that, that's what actually builds the nation, the national unity. You know, you wouldn't see, outside an example, you wouldn't see an Australian outside Australia relate with another Australian outside Australia and not fight for themselves. Like, I'm just using that
Absolutely.
as an example.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Very
the
brilliant.
level of unity that exists, and all these things we take it for granted. We take it for granted. I mean, look at what just happened recently, even during the inauguration. What's it called? When the president was saying his
Sorry.
speech
Yeah. Yeah.
during his swearing in, and he
Yes.
only said subsidy is going to be removed, and we already have petrol stations that are hiking their pump prices,
Fortunate.
knowing fully well that it's the masses that would suffer for it. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yes,
we,
yes,
we
sir.
Nigerians, we have lost that touch of unity to the extent that we are preying on ourselves due to the bad. Definitely, people would say government is bad. We don't have good governance. We don't have this. But But where are the morals? Where do we have where do we, like, where's the fulcrum where we can say that, this is the extent that I can go. I can't do this much back to my neighbor. You know what I mean? I
Thank
don't know
you.
if what I'm saying is making
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yes, it
So,
does.
so
Thank you.
if we have that sense, I believe that's a major solution to ethnicity problem that we have in Nigeria.
Thank you very much for shedding light in that direction. We really appreciate that. And another question I want to pose is, before I pose that question, is before our religion, before our ethnicity, we are Nigerians. In any way, anywhere we find ourselves all over the world, the first thing is you're Nigerian, and as I should associate with you as a Nigerian. And if we can emulate that, I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, even in the workspace, either you are Hausa, either you are Igbo, either you are Fulani, either you are Igbira, you are Nigerian, and we should. I mean, I think we should appreciate that as, that really, that chord of unity, that chord of, of will belong to the same cause, it should be emulated all over the federation, all over the nation. Yeah, thank you very much for that insight. I appreciate it. And that's going to bring me to the second question I'm going to ask Mr. David. And and in the course of the discourse and the new regime, the Tinubu administration, it's been very interesting. I'm sure you've listened to a lot of things on the news and about the social media, and a lot of people they gave him quite a lot of good comments, and and some, obviously, people we have to actually appreciate people's views sometimes, and but on a general scale, a lot of people actually gave him a good remark, and as per the selection processes, people that are coming on board, into the administration, and having knowing the level of where he's coming from, he's a Democrat, he has been in the space for a lot of years, and he has built people, as he is a Jagaban of Lagos. He used to be he's the Jagaban of Lagos, and I used to jokingly say he's a Jagaban of African politics. Well, and I want to say that there is a problem that is general in Nigeria, which is actually boils down also to unity, is one man syndrome. One man syndrome. I mean, we tend to understand that in that selection, they just because I know you, because I associate with you, because you are from my tribe, because you're from my political corner, you're from my area, you're from my village, we tend not to, bring in the best of the best. And I will just cite an example of a country, and so many countries actually, that they are third world, they used to be third world countries too, country like Singapore. Singapore was almost at the same level with Nigeria at some point. And now we can say Singapore is one of the best country in the world now. And within a short time, they change, and everything about them was just 100%, and a lot of people from Africa, we even go to Singapore to do businesses. And having said that, sir, they used a formula that I call it a formula. They used I call it the MPH, meritocracy and pragmatism and honesty, so I just want to ask you, sir, what is your view? And in these new appointees, what are the best way? What can we do to get the best of the best, in Nigeria, not considering our ethnic, not considering our religion, and not considering our political point of view? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate the question and everyone with me here. The level of success that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will achieve is going to depend largely on his selection. Because most of the time, if you look at General Muhammadu Buhari, he started very well. I'm not at all, about when you start something, but the continuity is the most important thing. When he started, it was so nice. Everybody, composed themselves. Things were moving well. But when the time for selection came, the level of his success was now based on people that he chose, and which is the most important thing. Because by the time you select them, it will be very hard to remove them because there will be this kind of attachment. So I believe that this another area I will respect Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you can get it right, using merit, above maybe sentiment, this person is from my head or whatever. He has used it before when he was a governor, and we could testify to the level of development that he brought into the state, in Lagos State. But if you look at Nigeria, Lagos is just like a small portion. Nigeria have almost 220 million people. And to select the right people, it's going to be a genius to do that. Because people are so corny, people are not straightforward. A nation that we have 350 ethnic nationality, I know that if we can get that thing right, it will be the best president that Nigeria has ever produced. Meritocracy is so important. If you see the nation like maybe Japan, they are doing well because they place, merit above sentiment or any other thing. So I believe that this is the time that Nigerians, as the president of the country, and even as the governor, we need to start operating with that. Selecting people that are more qualified, people that, they call them, who are in that field, the experts. Let them undo some key aspects of the economy so that Nigeria can move forward.
Sorry, before I go to the next one, thank you very much for that analysis. Before I let it go, something pop now, and I feel, there are cases on ground right now, we all follow the news, and a lot of people are saying that he had to let go so many generals, and that's actually going to affect the security architecture of Nigeria, which is actually debatable, no doubt about that. And that having those are people that the country has spent a lot of money on as per training, as per and we can argue that out. And at the same time, a lot of people are saying that, well, as I mentioned, based on these antecedents, having to bring people on board. Of course, you have to bring people that you trust, no doubt about that. You have to bring people that have track records, no doubt about that. And having to put all those one into perspective. And one other very fundamental issue that I want to raise now is the EFCC. The EFCC as an independent body, if I can say, corruption body, as I can say, they keep changing. They have to change the head of the EFCC. Will that in any way affect his administration? I'm just in 2 minutes.
Well, I believe that it's not going to affect it. One thing is that we cannot judge him by changing them. It's his administration, and he's going to be blamed for anything that he's going to do, anything. So he needs to get it right, and I believe that he should stick to his method if that method will help him to deliver 100%. So I believe, yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we should all, join him in prayers and encourage him in any possible. And this platform also is also one of those little ways that we can also contribute. And I'm sure one of his advisors will listen to this and they will thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Mr. Steve, if you could, the last question I just raised, if possible, before I go to your question, sir, if you could just chip in one or two ideas, that would be appreciated, sir.
I think it is institution that builds a country. when you build an institution, I'll give you a typical example. And I've not been to Lagos, but I've heard so many people say that Lagos State is on a climb, it's on a rise. That's because after the administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, you had Fashola, and then Akinwumi Ambode, and now Mr. Sanwo-Olu. And I think they've been able to build institutions of government, and that is what builds a country. It's not hearsay, it's not lip service. The fact that the EFCC has constantly changed heads, it goes without saying that it feels like it's a robot in the hands of the presidency, and it ought not to be so. Because if it becomes a robot in the hands of the presidency, there will be favoritism. And again, we did mention that's not what we want in Nigeria. Having said that, I believe this, I do wish him well, to be honest with you. I wish him the very best. And a lot of things would determine his success. One of them is his policy. The policies of government will lead into these strong institutions of the country. I'll give you a typical example in Australia. It doesn't matter who becomes the president, the prime minister, or who becomes the premier. There are institutions, there are policies like the NDIS, for example. Those things are static. They are static as the sun. It doesn't matter if there is a bad road in my street here. It doesn't matter who is the premier. The road will be constructed and be rebuilt. And it won't be celebrated as a political achievement.
Absolutely.
Because we have the institution, they have government agencies, they have parastatals. It is these institutions of government that build agency, that build parastatals, that build commissions, and they have less interference from government. And that's why they are able to deliver without fear or favor. And that's what we want to build. And that's what I think this government should do by putting in the right people, having in the right policy in place to build these institutions of government.
Thank you. Thank you very much. As I used to, as I used to say, I say, now is the time to fix Nigeria. And that is a time to fix Nigeria. We have to collectively, come together and get it done now. Not getting it done now, it's going to be detrimental to our sustainability. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And Mr. Obelawa, I don't know if you just want to chip in 1 minute, one or two things.
Yeah, I think Mr. Dave and Mr. Steve have said it all. I would like to speak from what Mr. Steve said. Like, it's institutions that actually build the country, and that's right. Nigeria have suffered so much from the hands of politicians. These developments that we talk about, this is what the politicians uses to gain access into the next 4 years in government. You see, once they enter the fourth time, they say this one, they will do this one. The first few years, they won't do anything. But when it gets to like the last year of their 4 years, that's when you start seeing them, oh, this refinery has been built, this road has been completed. These are the things that these guys know that if they do it, they stand a chance of coming in the next year. So, like Mr. Steve said, we need some policies that would truly be on ground, irrespective of whatever government or whatever politician that is coming in. It doesn't affect the policies that has been set up, and the policies are actually going to benefit the whole masses. And that again would even allow Nigerians, give them the power to also go as far as saying that, oh, this is who we want in government, because there's going to be the transparency again. Now they wouldn't have anything to lie about, they wouldn't have anything to cajole people than what they have to say, like what they have to actually present, like what they have to give, what they are bringing to the table. So he is really right with what he said. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And I think, honestly, to round that up, I think there needs to be holistic centralization of our system. Holistic centralization of our system up to the grassroots level, so that, and everybody from the heads of government, from each parastatal, has to be held responsible for mismanagement, for wrong implementation of policies, and not following aligned framework that has been set down. Because at the same time, we need continuity, so that even the next administration should be able to build on whatever that you must have done. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I really appreciate that.
There is certainly no, you can't call a man lazy when there is no job for him to do.
And he said tolerance. As Nigerians, we need to tolerate each other, from the West, from the South, everywhere we come from, we need to tolerate each other.
For us to be the nation that we really love to be, we need to look into this element of disunity, in our nation.
We need to pushing for now is again goes back to transparency. When we are transparent,